What is up, y'all? This is Rich coming back at you with another lens review. Today we are taking a look at a 35 to 80 millimeter f4.5 to 5.6 Pentax-FA lens. And I will say this is a cool little lens. I was pleasantly surprised, so I can't wait to get into it with you. And another little tidbit, this thing does go up to I think about 32 on the aperture 32, which is pretty insane on the long end. Alright, before we get into this little lens right here, we just want to thank God for the ability to take all these amazing photos. If it wasn't for Him, we wouldn't be able to take any of these amazing photos, so thank God for that. Alright, so we have the four categories. We're going to talk about the affordability, we're going to talk about the accessibility, the build quality, and the versatility of this lens right here. So let's first get into the affordability of this lens. For the affordability of this lens, I gave it a 10. For everything that's in this little little box of a lens, in its focal range, you can actually pick up these copies anywhere from $5 to $40, and you can actually get a pretty decent copy. You can get them from thrift shops. You can get them anywhere. There's a lot of these lenses because they were a kit lens, and they are really affordable, which is amazing because it does come with amazing glass. So for that, I gave it a 10. It's like it's insane what you can get. Everything that you get with this lens, it is extremely affordable. The other thing is, if you want to adapt it to your camera system, you don't have to buy a special mount. This does have aperture control, this does have focal range control, and this does have the focus control. So that's all things that you can get and use manually when you switch it over to any other full frame ASPC or Micro Four Thirds system. So that is a huge screaming deal for a telephoto lens of this range, especially when you have to pay like $300 to get that in some of these full frame systems. So that's awesome. Full frame lens for that with great quality glass. That's a 10, bro. That's a 10. All right, so next let's take a look at the versatility, or not versatility, the accessibility. I do that all the time. I get them. Anyway, so accessibility on this lens is going to be a 10. Extremely easy throw to focus, extremely easy to zoom in and out. You can get relatively close to a lot of your subjects without it throwing out the focus too bad. The aperture controls are super easy. It does have auto aperture. If you do have a Pentax or you pick up a mount that allows you to use the aperture and autofocus controls, this does have a screwdriver autofocus, but it's relatively fast, super easy to use, and it is just a great lens to be using. Edge to edge clearness, I didn't have any issues at any of the focal ranges or apertures with any of that, so it was a pleasant lens to use when it comes to all of it, and the focal ranges are awesome as well. So that is a 10 for me. Anybody can use it. I think this is an extremely easy lens to use. This should be the carbon copy of easy lenses to use. So next we're going to go into the build quality. The build quality on this is an 8. Just because you are losing some of the ease when it comes to taking it apart and putting it back together. The screwdriver focusing system is a little catchy. It does let in quite a bit of dust, so those are two things to look out for when it comes to these. But other than that, you have fantastic glass. It is a plastic housing, but that is also lent to a good advantage because plastic tends to crack. And if plastic is cracking, it's not bending. And which means that if I do drop this lens, I'll probably save the glass and it'll probably just crack, but it won't necessarily break. The plastic will crack and it won't necessarily break. And it's not as heavy, so I don't have to worry about it shearing off the mount screws or doing anything like that. So that is something that lens, it's a double-edged sword. It's not as durable as a metal lens, but at the same time, that negative, the takeaway of weight is such a huge thing, especially with this focal range where if I have a 35 to 105 or the 35 to 70, it is a pretty heavy lens where this is not. So that is pretty nice. So next we're going to talk about the versatility of this lens. It is infinitely versatile, to me at least. You got the fantastic focal ranges of 35, 50, and 80. It doesn't have 28, but 35, 50, and 80, those are the prime lens or focal ranges that you want when it comes to street photography, portrait photography, landscape photography. You could probably get away with some nature photography. Real estate is going to be out of there, but architecture and just running and gunning, this is going to be a fantastic focal range. It's fantastically versatile. The fact that the aperture can be stopped up exponentially to 32 on the longer ranges is awesome, and it does let in a ton of light. On ASPC, it let in a ton of light. I didn't have to worry about the aperture so much, or the fact that it only went down to 4. I never went under 125th of a second when it came to the shutter speed. So that is something to also be really, jubilee about and happy about, is the fact that it doesn't let in so much light. So that makes it even more versatile. And with the fact that now you have autofocus, filming with this lens on a body or an adapter that does allow you to have that autofocus is opening up that possibility of being able to have that continuous autofocus to film. So that is also something you can use this lens for, is filming, especially with a B-roll camera. This will be an awesome lens to use, also being super light. You don't have to worry about running and gunning. It'll be super easy to use. So overall, they gave this lens a score of 9.25, or a 9. I will say that for somebody that's starting out with photography, would I recommend it or not? 100%. This is such an inexpensive lens. It's a full frame lens. So if you are on a Pentax system, you pick up an ASPC, and then you want to upgrade to the K1, this will work 100%. You will not have the crop factor. If you put this on any other full frame system, there is no crop factor. It is a full frame lens, especially with the ability to have that focus and that auto aperture. That's huge to have if you shoot in aperture priority mode and stuff like that. It's like this is everything you could want in a lens, especially when comparable lenses are $300 plus, and they're kit lenses, and they are not even anywhere near as good edge-to-edge focus. So everything that this lens can do for the price point that it does, this is a steal. This is like an amazing lens. I don't even know why more people aren't talking about this being like one of the best lenses to get, because to me it was fantastic. I had fun using this lens. So for a professional or semi-professional photographer or experienced photographer, again, I would highly recommend it. It is a fantastic lens to get. You can get multiple copies of this lens. You can put them on all your cameras and not have to worry about it, especially your Sony people, because I've been looking at getting a Sony camera, and I'm looking at those Sony lenses, and the kit lens that comes with the Sony seems to have very, very bad reviews. And to be able to pick up this lens and then just adapt it to your Sony system would be exponentially helpful in your camera journey, or being able to have that for any of the other full frame cameras that you have, because adapting this is so easy with the fact that you can manually use all the controls. You don't have to buy a $300 lens adapter, because you don't have to have the autofocus or the auto aperture feature. So I highly recommend this lens. It's definitely staying in my bag. It's definitely going to be put on my K1 when I pick one up. I'm going to pick up a Sony as well, just to kind of further my photography, whatever. For my portraits, I'm gonna put it on. This is one of the lenses I'm gonna use on my Sony and my K1, so I'm excited for that. But thanks you guys for watching. You will see all the all the pictures at the end of this video. The color, everything is perfect with this lens. I highly recommend it. This is probably one of those lenses, like I said, the 35 and this lens right here, and the what was it? The 30, I think it was the 35 and 105. Those are the 3 lenses that I'm like, oh, and the 50mm. It's like, you have to get this lens. So yeah, these FA lenses, man, I don't know why people don't talk about them more. These FA lenses, it seem like they're the prime of the affordability, the versatility, being able to hold them, use them, and the image quality. It's insane. These are little gems. That's what they are. All right, thanks guys. See you later. God bless.